Hi folks, Matthew Lanigan here with BayWa RE. We're just going to give it another minute. See quite a few people logging in here, so another 2 minutes and we'll start the presentation. Thanks. Hi folks, Matthew Lanigan here again with BayWa RE. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here with BayWa and head up the sales team. Just want to thank you all for taking a little bit of time to be with us in APS today and learn about their new inverter that's coming to market here shortly. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. This presentation will be recorded and we will be sure to share it in the next newsletter, which will come out next week. If you need a copy earlier than that, please just reach out to us and we'll get that for you. We encourage you to be asking questions, so there'll be a question box down in the bottom right corner, so please just put them in there. We'll do our best to answer them on the fly, but we'll also have breaks and we'll answer them during those breaks. Continuing education's really important to BayWa for our staff, and the fact that we get to offer it to our customer base is important to us as well. One other note, we will be giving away 3 free ECUs of those of you that are asking questions. So please, we encourage you to ask away. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chris Barrett, Senior Director of Technical Support, and Derek Gerdts, Solar Support Specialist. Guys.
Good morning, everybody. Let me get my screen up here and we will be on with it. All right, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, Matthew, thank you very much for teeing that up for us. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you getting us in front of your customers and giving them an opportunity to learn more about APsystems products and services. As Matthew said, I am Chris Barrett, the Senior Director of Training, Failure Analysis, and Technical Support. I'm joined today by Derek Gerdts, Technical Support for Canada, exclusively. This is our mugshots right here as well. Next. As you said, housekeeping, question and answers. Please feel free to ask a lot of questions. We can ask during the meeting, send them into the chat box. Matthew will be kind of the moderator for that right there. We can address them at the end as well, but I'd like it to be more fun and more interactive. We've all been doing this death by PowerPoint for lots of months now, so let's make it as fun as possible. A copy of the PowerPoint will be provided through BayWa, and like I said, this webinar is being recorded. And will be available on both the for your website and for the APsystems website as well. The agenda today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about APsystems for those of you that are not familiar with our products and company. We'll also talk about the new DS3 series, very exciting stuff coming here down the pipe real soon. We'll also get into the EMA Manager app. Basically, this is the installer app, basically a fleet view that you'll be able to manage your systems and all your sites from the palm of your hand. And if time allows, we will also be doing an EMA live demo. This is something that, like I said, depending on how it goes, but most of you are seeing it and familiar with it. 2 different versions, the site owner review and installer review. But again, I know we've got a time crunch here, we've got about 1 hour. So I want to make sure we hit mostly on the DS3 and EMA Manager. As far as the company is concerned, APsystems is a global provider of microinverters throughout the world. So we were founded in Silicon Valley, California in 2010. So we just celebrated our 11-year anniversary in business together. 4 major units, business units that we have. Our US base is in Seattle, Washington. Our European base is in Paris, France. The Shanghai office is basically our Asia Pacific office. And just a few years ago, we opened up like a Latam office in Mexico City. We have additional offices throughout the world, more sales and support. But we cover the globe. So I just trying to point that out. As far as the key facts are concerned, we are the #2 solar microinverter manufacturer in the world, according to GTM Research. And as you would guess, the #1 multi-module microinverter supplier in the world. Today, over 1 gigawatt installed for almost 2 million microinverters out there. Serving over 120 different countries. I think it's actually more than that. We've actually entered a few more since this slide was put together. And third-party financing this is probably more for the United States, but nonetheless available on their AVLs for purchase and financing. So let's dig into exactly why you guys are here today. Today, I'm going to talk about the DS3. And what does the DS3 actually mean? The nice thing about the products that we're showing today, every one of the nomenclature or the names of the products now have some logic built into the name. So here it's like DS3. D stands for dual input. The S stands for split phase, or AKA single phase. And 3 is the 3rd generation product. The next line actually kind of shows a little bit about that. This right here talks about our kind of evolution in the solar industry and in the microinverter industry. In 2012, we produced and came out with what was called the YC500, which many of you are probably sure are familiar with or even have used. That's 1st generation. The 2nd generation was in 2017 when we came out with the YC600. Again, all of these are all dual microinverter family. Up until now, the 2021, and I think we'll probably see it really shortly here in 2022 when it's available, is what's called the DS3. And as you can see, all 3 of these products, it's the kind of the evolution of the product as it's gone forward. We've gone from 500 AC watts, so 250 watts per channel on the 500. We've then stepped up to 600 AC watts output. So, and that is again 2 inputs, so 300 watts AC per channel. To now the DS3, which has up to 900, actually 900 plus watts total. So a total of 450 watts AC out per channel. So kind of evolutionary in this industry. And one of the quotes from our CTO, it is kind of nice to be the first company out there, first microinverter company out there to have such a high power microinverter, to be able to handle the higher wattage modules that are being produced today. I think the days of the 250s, the 300s, the 310s, 330s, it's going to be pretty hard to find those kind of modules going forward. So APsystems took that leap forward and has been able to produce a product that's going to keep up with the module sizes as they continue to grow. Product positioning, again, this is traditionally a residential split phase, single phase inverter, as we discussed. It can be used in multifamily residential, no problem whatsoever. And then the 3rd goal here is commercial as well. This is something that will be supported after the initial launch, but basically we'll be able to use this single phase, split phase inverter in a 3-phase environment. So that includes the 208Y. It also includes the 240 Delta high leg. So it's going to be quite nice. It's basically the same as what we've done before with the 500s and 600s. Because this product does not require a neutral, we can span those both voltages to 240 volts and 208 volts. 208 volts just requires basically a shift in voltage parameters. far as the highlights are concerned, a new form factor completely, as you see from the difference. Before it was actually kind of a squared off, kind of rectangular box. Now what we've done is we've kind of tried to future-proof this particular design. We've actually tried to reduce the number of components that are reused in the device itself. And that right there is probably trying to increase the reliability of the product. It will be Rule 21 compliant or UL 1741 SA compliant at launch. And the efficiency, the DC to AC efficiency is bumped up another 0.5% from 96.5 to 97% conversion efficiency. The design itself is a very small design. It's a lighter weight design, and we've actually included both a polymer backing with kind of a ruggedized aluminum casing for mounting. It still comes with that very nice EMA 6 or IP67 weather-tight rating, so it definitely can be submerged, and especially in the northern climates where you may have snow buildup, you may have ice buildup around the device. This is a nice feature right here to be able to withstand those kinds of conditions in those kinds of environments. Silicon potting, so we've changed the potting inside as well. So for two reasons, right? So we want to make sure that we dissipate any kind of heat through that potting material to the outside of the case, and also enhance the waterproofness of the device itself. The other thing that we've done, and it's quite nice, is we've actually now incorporated Zigbee technology from Texas Instruments. So Texas Instruments is the producer of this particular chip, but it also includes the cybersecurity tool, Caramba. This is basically built in from Texas Instruments. Again, this is just to protect security from the communication from the ECU back to the inverters. This is just an enhancement. We've actually used Zigbee now quite a bit from all of our products with the 600, US1 series, and YC1000, but never included this Caramba security, this back and forth check sums, if you will. So this is an enhanced feature, again, just for security purposes. One thing you'll be happy to hear is the AC bus cable or trunk cable, whatever you like to call it, is the same as we currently are selling with the either 600 or QS ones. So the AC output connector on the DS3, identical, 3 wires, basically a line 1, line 2, and ground. Comes in that same comfortable 2 or 4 meters between drops. Can be loaded onto a 20-amp breaker, 12-gauge wire on this particular device. And like as you see right here, you can actually use a QS1, a 600, and the DS3 on the exact same line. Should you have to do something like that, should you have any kind of future need to add a QS1 or to add a DS3 to a QS1 system or 600 system, mix and match. So backwards compatibility was really something we were thinking about when we came out with this product.
Chris, we have a couple of questions here right out of the gate.
Sure.
When will the trunk cable have an ampacity of 30 amps, number 10 gauge?
Good question. That's actually in my presentation a little further in. We anticipate that to be available probably Q2 2022. And the purpose for that, for those that are not familiar, so basically we're going to go up in gauge size to a 10 to a 10 gauge wire, which is going to allow you to drop that wire onto a 30 amp breaker, which is going to allow you also to put up more inverters on a single string or single branch, if you will.
What's the timeline for this new inverter?
You will see this probably Q1 in Canada, Q1 2022.
Okay. Timeline for UL 1741-SB certification.
Did you say SD as in Sam David?
Sam Bob.
Sam Bob said SB. Yes, so that will probably be available probably, I don't want to commit to it, but I think it's Q2. This is basically the enhanced Rule 21 features, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3.
And what would happen if an owner had a YC500 that has had a 7-year warranty issue? Will there be YC500s available for those, or will a DS3 have to be inserted into the existing system?
Yeah, so we do actually have 500As, 500Is available for RMA stock, for futures to stock, yeah.
Great, thank you. That's it for now.
Plug and play. Yep. As far as the accessory is concerned, again, because we're using the same exact cables, the accessories are the exact same. So if what you're already familiar with is what you'll continue to use going forward. The end cap is the same, AC bus connector cap, should you need to miss a drop, watertight, dust tight. The disconnect tool required by NEC is exactly the same. And of course, for those customers who are asking if we have an odd number of modules in the roof, because we make duals and quads, that's all even numbers. If you have an odd number, of course, MC4 caps will be placed on the unused port, which again would protect it from water intrusion and dust intrusion. As far as the specification sheets are concerned, this should be now loaded onto the APsystems Canada website. It should also be loaded up onto the APsystems USA site. So you'll be able to see the site, you'll be able to pull this down, be able to download it, and put it into your proposals coming in the future. As far as the global rollout here, this is really what we're producing today. So there are basically 4 different versions or 4 different flavors, if you will, for the DS3. And we'll kind of detail all of these, but as you can see, the DS3S is 640 volts. 640 volt amps output. So that means we're looking at a 320 watt per channel output. The reason that we created a DS3S is for those customers that are still using the smaller modules. We didn't want to give you the new DS3 with 880 watts and 440 watts AC power output, and you're only loading up with 300 watt modules, 310 watt modules. We want to give you some options here. So the DS3 is basically your drop-in direct replacement for the YC600. Fast forward up to the DS3L. This right here is 768 watts output. Again, so we're trying to increase that AC output power for those larger watt modules. Continue on the DS3, 880 output, all the way up to 960. The DS3H will be sold only on demand. It'd be a special case order and probably container-sized orders for those systems, those commercial systems with those larger modules. So the regularly stocked items would be the DS3S, the DS3L, and the DS3. Again, the DS3H is a custom or special order product. I'll kind of run through these a little bit right here. So as we said, the DS3S is the smaller version, the direct replacement for the YC600, or basically YC600 replacement on day 1. Again, 2 independent channels, 320 watts AC out per channel, Zigbee communication with that caramba, for a total of 6 units on a 12 gauge wire. Okay, so the 6 units just like today. So it's a drop-in replacement. Phase monitored, phase balanced with that integrated ground. Backwards compatibility as we discussed. And we're recommending 2 modules for up to 480 watts SCC each for this particular unit right here. That's probably the maximum. So it's basically a 1.5 DC to AC ratio. So as it says right here, the product is currently going through all safety certifications and compliances, which is true, and will be available sometime at the beginning of Q1 of 2022. The next product is the DS3L. We're going to come here, we're going to pump up the volume a little bit and get a little bit more power, again, for those larger wattage modules. Again, independent MPPT on this particular device, up to 384 watts per channel, AC watts out before any kind of clipping happens. Same Zigbee. This one goes up to 5 units. You see right here where we go to 3.2 amps per unit. So on a 12 gauge wire, you can only put up to 16 amps per NEC. So 5 units on a single 12 gauge wire. Same phase monitoring, same balance, same backwards compatibility. 2 PV modules up to 570 watts STC. The DS3, again, we're pushing its power up a little bit more. So up to 880 watts AC out for a total of 3.63 amps per unit. So that then talks more about the independent MPPT. So 440 watts is the AC out per channel of this particular device. So with that higher current, It also means we need to drop the number of units per 12 gauge wire. So the question that someone asked earlier about the 10 gauge wire was actually a brilliant one, because it is something it's a real issue in the industry and something that we've actually will and have solved. Same thing monitoring, same backwards compatibility. So for 2 PV modules up to 660 watts. Again, this product is kind of future-proofing the industry itself. I think, we're going to see a lot of people using the DS3S, the DS3L, the DS3. Like I said, I don't think there's a lot of people out there using 660 watt unit modules today, but it's coming. It's coming quick. And the DS3H. This one just goes up to 960 watts total for 4 amps per unit, 480 watts per channel. Incredible. So this gives you up to 4 units on a 12 gauge wire for modules that are 720 watts each. So this would definitely be somewhat, I think, a commercial product today. But as the industry grows, as the modules start getting bigger, like I said, we're future-proofing your design, future-proofing your purchase, and making sure that every amount of power that's being produced is being converted and not clipped and lost. One of the questions here, so availability. We anticipate Canada to be receiving these products the beginning of Q1 2022. We highlighted this product at NAPSET in Tennessee back in August with rave reviews. People were very excited about it. We have quite a few test sites that have been put in place and running quite well. I talk about here this 10 gauge wire. So since this was put together, so yeah, possible, I repeat possible, it is not possible anymore, it is real. And we should see that in Q2. So like I said, the same number of drops that we'll see your 2 meters between drops and 4 meters between drops with a 10 gauge wire. And expected to replace the YC600. So end of life on 600, we still have them, we're still producing them, but it will fade out the 600s. That includes for new products and for replacements. So let's say in the future you do have a YC600 that will, that has failed or needs to be replaced. It will be replaced with a DS3S.
Seeing a few more questions coming in here. Will there be a 3rd generation 4-port unit with 1800 watt to 2000 watt coming in 2022?
Good question. I know it's on the drawing board. I just don't have a timeline for it. The QS1 has been a big winner for us, and so we'll definitely continue on with that. I know that right now the QS1 is not end of life, but there will. I mean, the next generation is always on the drawing board right now, and then actually being tested in some cases, but not available for sale.
Okay. Someone's asking, is it known which DS3 version BayWa will stock or first roll out? So Rob, we'll get back to you on that. We'll sit down and analyze the products and ask for forecasts and figure out what makes most sense for our customers. And there's another BayWa question. Is BayWa planning to have these available in Q1 or Q2? John, well, as soon as we can get them, we'll bring them in. So hopefully Q1, I think Q2 would be a safe timeline, but we'll definitely be shooting for Q1. That's it.
All right, cool. All right, so let's go on. Derek's going to jump in here and talk a little bit about the EMA Manager app for you guys. Take it away, Derek.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for the intro, Chris. So yeah, my name is Derek. Just to give you a quick little refresher of who I am. So I work on the technical support team here at APsystems. So if you guys do call into our customer support line, there's a good chance that you will get me. I wanted to just take a brief couple moments here to go over our new EMA Manager app. And I use that new word a little lightly. It has been out since May, maybe beginning of June timeframe. So if you haven't downloaded this app, we would highly recommend to do so. It's basically like the EMA that you would use on a computer in the palm of your hand. And we're going to go through some of these slides here. And so first one is that what you can do with the EMA Manager app is that it is a local commissioning tool. We actually embedded the ECU app, which is what most people use to set up an ECU and commission a system. We embedded that into this EMA Manager app. So you can access the ECU app directly through this EMA Manager app. And then it's also going to give you an overshot of all of your customers. So you can log into this app and it's going to tell you how many customers you have signed up on the EMA portal, some information about their systems. So it gives you basically an overshot of your entire portfolio through this app. And this is one of the main points that I like about this new app, is that it's maintenance anytime, anywhere. You can log in through this app and get a snapshot of what a customer system is doing, if there's any issues going on with it, and also be able to diagnose those issues through this app. And that's a pretty cool feature. A lot of us are on the move nowadays and not able to sit behind a computer all day, or even say technicians in the field. They're able to access a lot more information through this app, and be able to diagnose issues, whether they're on site or say on the go. And you can also have like an admin page on here. You can create new users from start to finish, making usernames, passwords, all of that fun stuff. Or you can also manage existing users as well. If you ever have a homeowner that, say, sold a house and somebody new came into it, you can change usernames, change passwords, create new accounts, all that stuff through this app as well. And then you also have quite a few insightful statistics on your portfolio. We'll go through that here on the next couple slides, but it gives you a good snapshot of what all your systems are doing as far as cumulative kilowatt output, quite a few statistics that you can use for quite a few number of reasons. And the EMA Manager menus are straightforward, intuitive. Feel free to navigate and explore. I would say that this is almost critical. If you do use the EMA website on a daily basis, you'll find that this app is very similar. I could sit here and tell you about it, but I would suggest to go through and play around with some of the icons on here. You'll find that the click paths are very similar to the EMA website.
Right. Actually, one thing I do want to add. So just so it's super clear, the EMA Manager, like Derek was saying, has that local commissioning tool, the ECU app built into it. At some point, and I don't have a date for you yet, but the ECU app that you're currently using will have an end of life because it is incorporated into this particular app as well. So the sooner you get used to using this new app, the EMA Manager, probably better off for everybody. Because like I said, once it goes end of life, then we won't be supporting it or updating it anymore, the ECU app itself.
Correct, yeah, good point. And then the login page, pretty self-explanatory. You will use the same credentials that you would use to log into, say, the EMA website or the normal EMA app. You can use to log into this EMA Manager. One point of reference is that end users or homeowners do not have access to this app. It is only for professional installers, DIY installers, or subcontractors who do not have an installer account. So just that one little caveat there. Just make sure that it is only being used by installers, because if a homeowner tries to use it, they will not be able to log in. And so this is just showing some of the statistics that are available through this app. It will show you the installer statistics. You can see kind of on that top left screen there. When you first log in, this will be the page that you get to. It'll show you your total number of users, quick snapshot of how many devices you have, whether it's ECUs, YC1000s, QS1s, YC600s. It'll give you the total number of customers, total number of micros, total energy produced, and you can filter that by per year, per quarter, per month, per day. I do have some installers out there that are using these statistics for marketing purposes. And so I would suggest, if you do have any of those needs, to potentially use this information, and it can help you out in that area.
Right, and then what I want to add too is this is kind of nice because this isn't even available in the online EMA portal yet. This is only available in the handheld version, but you can see it's pretty powerful to be able to have that entire fleet view, to see what you've done in your entire fleet, how much power you've produced at any given time, how many installed, how many customers you have, how many micros installed. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and you can also dive into a little bit more. It's going to give you options to go into specific statistics for either users, which is this page here. So you just click that more button next to the user, and it'll show you, and this is a good close-up, how many ECUs you have installed, how many YC500s, 600s, QS1s. So it gives you an overall snapshot of what you have going on out there. And then you can also go into energy statistics as well. So you click that more button on the energy tab rather than, say, the user tab, and that'll dive into more statistics for your overall portfolio. And so this is a little snapshot of when you first log in. It'll give you options down there at the bottom of the icons, either home, user, workspace, or settings. So you click on that user tab, it's going to give you all of your users that are set up on the EMA portal. And you do have an option to filter here. You can kind of make it out a little bit on this picture, but it says right under user, you have an availability to just search by ECU number, inverter number, customer name. So there's options there to search as well. And you can also filter, say, and this is going back into that maintenance anytime, anywhere section that I was talking about. You can filter and go and see the blue, or not the blue, but the lights on here where it says system status, and it gives you either green, yellow, red, or gray. You can filter the ones out that are green, and you just say want to look at the ones that might potentially have an issue. So that's really powerful as well. You can basically see which ones are having the issue or not and filter the ones out and then go through that list if you wanted to. And yeah, just getting back into this page here, that's the part that I was talking about, that search bar. You can change that customer account option to either inverter ID, ECU ID, name, kind of however you want to search for it. And then after going into a specific customer account, these are what the options are going to be. When you do pull it up, it's going to give you an option on a home page, and it'll give you a snapshot of what the system is doing on that particular day. Which, mind you, you can filter that as well, either by day or by month. You can also go on that bottom icon and select the module view, which will give you the module by module view, or just like that right there. And you can also do the playback as well. You'll see that little arrow pointing there to that play button. That'll give you, it'll automatically play back over the course of the day, and you can start in the morning and see what the system's doing throughout the day on a playback. And you can, if you do have multiple array of views, say you have, a south array, a west array, basically subsections on the module view, you'll want to click that little notepad to the left, and that will allow you to scroll through and check out the different subsections of modules that you have.
Looking at these screens right here, for those of you that are familiar with the EMA app, it looks very, very similar. But like I said, we're giving you this to install the power to see what they see in this particular app. So we're kind of combining basically 3 different apps here, if you will.
Right, and then if you do have it in a particular site, you'll see that the ECU number has the 3 little buttons off there to the right. You can go ahead and click that, and that'll give you more statistics on a particular system as well. And you can also check and filter by day, daily, monthly, yearly, if you wanted to get that snapshot for the graph. And then going down here too, you do have some different options. With this particular screenshot that we have, it is an ECU-C. So there's a couple more options available for that one than a normal ECU-R. You can see the select data level is either ECU data level, energy metering, or inverter. So you can switch from ECU to inverter and get statistics for individual inverters, whether it's AC voltage, DC voltage, if you're doing a little bit of troubleshooting. So that data would be available through this app as well. And then going into, and this is, if you see that bottom icon that's highlighted for workspace, if you did click on workspace after clicking into a specific customer account, these are the options that are going to be available here. As you can see, the account details, you can register an end user, change some personal information if you needed to, update email addresses, change passwords, that sort of thing. And then you'll see below that, like I was talking about, resetting passwords or usernames can be done through this as well. Then also too, for the people out there that go out and replace inverters, you can do an ECU replace or an inverter replace through this app. So if you go to site, replace an inverter, just come to this spot, enter the new ID, and that'll sync through for you. So as you can tell, it's very similar to the EMA portal. When you look at these icons, this is almost exactly what it's like when you're to, say, log into an EMA account on a website. Very similar. And so pulling it up on here, going in still in that workspace spot, these are just some more options that you can do. And this would be for like creating a customer from scratch. Like I said, you can add the user on there, create their username, password, all of that. You can create the modules. You can do some commands remotely with the ECU as well. Then it's going to give you some display statistics from this section as well. Okay, and this just gives a little bit of a snapshot. The ECU commissioning is done using the ECU app function of the EMA Manager. So when you log in to the EMA Manager, you'll see that there's a spot to go to the ECU app, and it is embedded directly into this EMA Manager. So it acts just like the ECU app normally would, but just the access point would be different, going through the manager and then getting set up on the ECU that way instead of going directly to the ECU app. Mark's on here that we're expecting, and we don't know this for sure, but the app will most likely be discontinued right around December 31st of 2021. And it is available on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store currently. And so this goes in how you connect on the ECU or through the EMA, get to the ECU app through the EMA Manager app, or get to the ECU through the EMA Manager app. And you'll see on the homepage there, you can click on the ECU app, and that will take you to the screenshot on the right, and it's going to say connect to the ECU. You go ahead and click that button, and it will take you to the available wireless connections on your smartphone. And there should be one available there that would say ECUR 216 blah, 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 kind of a long number, just like this here. And once you get connected, the main thing to do is you're going to want to go ahead and pull back up the EMA Manager app at that point, and then that would make it to where this ECU is connected. And you'll, exactly, just like that. And that's the main one that you want to see there. Underneath that 0 watts current power with that green dot next to the 216, that'll let you know that you are connected at that point, and that you can go ahead and process through doing your inverter upload, which I think is going to be this next slide coming here. Exactly. So once you get connected, you'll see the options showing for ID management, grid profile, automatic system checks, kind of like the ECU app was before this point. And this is where you would go to enter those IDs, whether manually or doing them with scanning the barcodes, very similar to the ECU app. Yep, and this is a good picture here. And this is what would be like if you were to scan them in. You would just go through with your camera and put it next to the barcode. Normally it takes only about a second or two. Then you'd be able to go on to the next one at that point. And main note here is please do not scan the ECU ID on there. It would be for inverters only. And then once you have all your inverters entered in at that point, you want to make sure to click that sync button, and that'll get the ECU to want to go out and start trying to talk with those inverters at that point, pull the information in and get everything synced up. And how you would know if the ECU is synced up and talking with us, we'll have 2 green dots there. Or not 2 green dots, we'll have the 1 green dot with the sync status as OK, both being green.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out though, so right here, so we did change this kind of visual documentation for you. In the past, what would happen is we scan the serial numbers, they would come in and the font color would be black. As soon as you hit sync, they would then turn orange, indicating to you that you scanned them and pushed them down to the ECU. We've just changed that logic now with that green dot. And then okay.
Right, and that green dot lets you know that it is synced up, so to say. And there's a couple other settings that you want to do prior to completing the process here. You do have the option of going through and selecting the grid profile through the EMA Manager app. You want to set the ECU date settings as well, but those are both available once you get connected through the ECU or connect to the ECU. And then you also have the option of going through and checking the ECU network settings. And so you have 2 options of getting connected with the ECUR. It's either going to be with an Ethernet cord directly in the back or set up via Wi-Fi. If your ECU is connected via an Ethernet cable, you'll want to go through and click on the LAN settings to automatically obtain the IP address. And as long as it does not end in this number here, 192.168.131.228, you should be good to go. If it does end in this number, it means that there's not a connection between the ECU and the router. So there might be some troubleshooting that needs to happen, potentially a firewall. But if you do come across that and having some issues, you can always feel free to give us a call too on the support.
And one thing to make clear, just this is true for all ECUs and has been since the beginning of time, but just make sure it's clear that all the ECUs that we sell and ship all come ship in DHCP mode. So it's basically automatic, getting the automatic IP address. Should you have a need for a static IP address, this button up here that you're looking at here, this can be toggled to the other side, and you'll be able to type in all your static IP addresses. So let's say you installing at a bank or a school or somewhere where they had, higher security, or they said they wanted you to only use a certain IP address. This is where you'd actually be able to toggle that, and then you tell the ECU what IP address it will be communicating on.
Guys, we have a question here. With DS series, what length of time should we expect the inverter to sync with the newer EMA app through Zigbee?
It should be about 5 minutes. Basically, what happens is the ECU itself is the driver for this, and the ECU will go out and query inverters every single 5 minutes. So you'll get an update on your phone within 5 minutes. So basically, it depends on where the whole cycle is when they make that inquiry. But let's say, for example, when you plug in the ECU for the first time, let's call that time 0. And then after 5 minutes, boom, it goes out and starts talking to inverters. Same thing, 5 minutes later, on the 10-minute mark, boom, goes out and asks. So yeah, so your update is going to be 5 minutes or less, again, because maybe you might inquiry something about the site, and it's already 4 minutes into its current poll. So you only have to wait 1 minute before it actually reports back. But 5 minutes is the longest.
Right, and is an extended warranty option going to be provided for DS series? I'm assuming that's a yes.
Absolutely. 10 and 25-year warranties, whatever you choose.
Great.
All right, and this is and that was the part just showing that you can connect via Wi-Fi as well. You'll just want to click on the WLAN settings instead of the LAN settings. You'll find the customer's home network. They will ask for the customer's home network password. You go ahead and enter that, click send, and then that should start the connection at that point. And this is what you're looking for to know if you have both the ECU set up and also the internet connected. You want 2 green dots there, one next to the ECU number itself, and then one with the internet connected green dot next to it. That means, lets us know that the ECU has everything paired up, internet connected, and it's good to go. And you can also click on the inverter connection progress to check inverter communication with the ECU. That's a little icon that's circled there. And that'll let you know too if the inverter is fully connected or not, or if it's in the process of doing so. And then you also will have the option to click on the module view to check module power. Also, you can click on data to check the system power as well. It'll give you statistics for that particular system that you just set up, let you know if you have all the modules paired up and everything's working, or if there's maybe one that's not. That'll give you the power to basically leave site and have everything good to go. And then through the settings portion, you do have the availability to reset the password, change or update your company information. You can select languages, and this would be for the overall account, mind you, not necessarily for an individual customer, but this would be for the installer. But if you ever needed to update any information, there is a spot to do so on here as well. And so just kind of in conclusion, the EMA Manager app is rather smooth and intuitive, especially if people know EMA Portal and ECU app. When this thing first rolled out, it didn't take me too long to get it figured out because I do use the EMA every day. And so when this app rolled out, it took me maybe about a couple days or so. But the click paths are very similar. So if you do use the EMA on the website, this EMA Manager will be pretty self-explanatory and probably easy to use for you. It's got some nice new features like the installer statistics. Try it out and have some fun, and definitely share your feedback if there's any improvements or things you might want to see on there. It will help us to get this basically improved.
Yeah, so to that last bullet, I think that's actually really, really important. And that's kind of where we've started working with our customers and asking for their feedback, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we have a product where we're designing and producing and selling a product that actually works well for your needs. So please feel free to send an email into us if you have an idea for a thing, for an enhancement, a feature. The nice thing about apps, it's always dynamic. We can actually update these things pretty quickly. And we typically have our update releases once a month for all of our applications. So like I said, if you have a good idea, you have something you want to share, an idea that you think would be useful for you or many other installers, yeah, please feel free to send it in. We can put it into the queue. I can't make any promises as far as when it will get put into the product, but nonetheless, I'd like you to be part of the team. So feel free to send that in. Any questions about this section?
Nope.
All right. Do you want to take a second? Emma, I think if we can give control to Derek so he can put up the EMA.
All right, let's get this pulled up here. And does everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, awesome. So I was going to give you guys a brief overview of the EMA portal when you're logged in as an installer compared to logged in as a homeowner. The view that you see here is going to be as an installer view. I'm logged into one of our installers over here in Florida, and this is for a particular customer system. And you'll see, just wanted to kind of highlight the main differences between what a homeowner would see compared to what an installer would see. And so I'll start off with actually this homeowner's account. It's probably better to view this. And I pulled up the same account for both of them. This is actually the same thing for both, but just one is a homeowner view, which is this one, and then the other one was an installer view. So just wanted to highlight that when the homeowner logs in, this is what they are going to see. They have options to see an overview of their system, give them options to see today's output, lifetime output, some CO2 emissions, a graph showing daily output for this past week, and also what the system's been up to month by month over this past year. And module view would be available for this customer. I don't know if you guys are aware, but you actually can take away the module view from customers if you didn't want to go that route. And also, they're going to have some access to some statistics. Going to give a monthly overshot for kilowatt output. Even show each day over the course of a month. Some environmental protection benefits. And one thing that homeowners a lot of times don't know that they have access to is resetting their password and also some of their personal information on here. We do get quite a few reach outs with homeowners looking to get help with editing their passwords or changing them. They can also do this through the EMA app as well if they wanted to, but I just wanted to show that they do have more or less a basic look into their system. And let's pull this up here. And then this would be for you guys, what the installer account would look like. And so one thing that I wanted to highlight on here is you guys do have quite a few things that you can use to troubleshoot systems if you ever had to. One thing that you're going to have that the homeowner will not have is this inverted data page. And so if you ever come across, oh, awesome. Let's get this pulled. 4, 2, 6, 3. There we go. So I really like this inverter data tab. If you ever come across an inverter, say if you were looking at the module view and one was NC or something like that, or even if it wasn't producing at all, this inverter data tab will allow you to see DC voltages or what's going on the DC side with either channel 1, channel 2, or if you have a QS1, channel 3 and 4. And it'll also give you an insight into the AC side as well. And so this is a good tool to have. You can also do this through the EMA Manager app, get this data level information. It'd be good for technicians even before you go out to site, give them some insight what might be going on with the system, whether it's maybe on the DC side, on the AC side, just gives you some insight of what might be going on. And so I really like that inverter tab, and that is available to installers, not to homeowners. Another part is going to be this remote control section here. You'll see that you have some different options for the ECU status. It's going to let you know if it's online, maybe disconnected from the internet. You can also go into the ECU setting, which is going to let you know which inverters are on site, if they're linked up, if they need to be linked up, and also one of the important ones is the firmware version up here. Want to make sure that that's up to date, but that'll give you insight to see what the inverter or what the ECU firmware version is. You can go into the grid profile as well, see which one's set up for the site. And then one that not a lot of people know about is this setting list down here. If you ever do send a command to this ECU, let's say, for example, needed to get an inverter linked up, send that through. On this setting list, it's going to tell you which command was sent, what time it was sent, and also if it's replied back and performed that action that you requested. So I do like this feature here. It basically allows you what's been happening with the ECU, which commands have been sent out, and what's been performed. And then you also have access to alarm information on the system. If you ever have an inverter that's maybe not working, it'll give you which one that is, maybe a brief diagnosis of what's going on with it. So there's this page as well. And then this one is also one that not a lot of people know about as well. On the Diagnose tab, just click on that Diagnose again. This last heartbeat time is going to let us know the last time that the ECU detected an internet connection. If you're ever setting up an ECU for the first time, or maybe changing out an ECU, or maybe an ECU got disconnected from the internet, I highly suggest to go to this particular page. And if there is a recent detection on here, then you should be in good shape with regards to the ECU receiving internet at that point. But it's really a good tool to know, or to use, to know if the ECU has internet or not. So I always suggest for people, if they have any ECU issues, to potentially start here and just make sure that the ECU does have internet. And this would be available to installers, not to the homeowner. And you could also go through on the account details and do any of the kind of the admin tasks on here. This will go through. There it goes. So in this particular page, you're going to have your personal info section, pretty self-explanatory. Any changes need to be made, you would come here to do that. Then on the ECU side as well, if you did need to delete an ECU, update an ECU, do any of that sort of stuff, you can do that here. Inverter info page, this will all be accessible through the installer. But just kind of wanted to give a brief overview of the differences between the homeowner account and the installer account.
Well, this is great. Well, thank you very much, Derek. This was a great review of the EMA and the power of the EMA, both the homeowner and installer review.
Guys, we got one other question here. Are firmware updates automatic?
Yes, absolutely are. So we have firmware updates for both, well, actually, for the applications themselves, that would come to the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store. For the ECUs, absolutely. We monitor that daily, and anything that's out there that needs to be updated will get pushed down at regular intervals. Like I said, typically monthly. And same thing with the inverters. The inverters themselves have what we call the FPGA chip inside, so field programmable gate array. So we're actually able to move and change the inverters to make sure that they basically perform at their best for the length of the life of the system. So all automatic. You need to do nothing as the installer. It all happens behind the scenes. The only thing I will add, though, for both the apps and the ECU, that can happen. Those updates can happen anytime. The inverter updates have to happen during the daytime because we will need AC to fuel this update. We'll also need the DC power as well. So updates for inverters don't happen at nighttime, but everything else can happen in 24/7.
And I know you guys touched on this earlier, but maybe just go back to it. Someone's asking how many pieces, how many DS3s can we connect to a branch circuit?
Well, it depends on which DS3. So typically we're looking at 6, 5, or 4. So let's say DS3S would be 6, DS3L would be 5, and then the DS3 would be 4. Just because of the higher output. We have a lot higher current as we go up. So it would reduce the number of inverters per string. But as we discussed, with the new 10 gauge wire coming out here shortly, we'll be able to increase the number of inverters per string. That will go down to a 30 two-pole single throw breaker.
Okay, great. And I see another question from John. John, we'll take that one offline with the issue you're having with one of your inverters. We can reach out to Derek. And yeah, any other topics, fellas, or are we good now?
I just wanted to point out a couple other things. Just
sure.
I wanted to mention as far as the technical support team is concerned. So you guys you're covered from 8 o'clock in the morning East Coast time to basically 8 p.m. East Coast time or 5 p.m. Pacific. So throughout Canada, you will have technical support available to you from sun up to sundown, basically. So and all those calls will all be answered locally in North America. So no calls go overseas. It's all answered by a real person. So those are kind of the nice things. The other thing I wanted to mention was the resources that we have. So in regards to resources, if you go to the APsystems Canada website, we have resources for support, we have resources for training, registration. Any new customers can go register their systems and their companies and get an EMA account. Documentation library with frequently asked questions for installers and for homeowners, as well as a YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel published as well with all kinds of videos, set up both ourselves talking about our products, but also some of our customers as well. So I highly encourage you, or if you have any new employees that come on board, sitting down in front of a computer and having go through some of these videos, because they're very informative, very short and sweet. I think the longest one is 3 to 4 minutes per topic, but nonetheless, it's a lot of information that can be taken away from that pretty quickly and easily.
Right, and I will say that we could also receive requests via text message as well. So say if you're not able to call in, we can always get a text message, and if you just text that 844-666-7035 number, we can respond that way as well.
And it said, one more question here from Greg. Can we quick connect to support through the app?
No, not today. But that's actually being talked about with kind of a text, or what do you call it?
Chat feature.
Yeah, push notification. So those are the kind of things that we can enhance the app with very easily. So when you can text in, we know who we're talking to already. If you're already logged in as on your account. So yeah, stay tuned. That will be coming.
Great. Well, if there's not anything else, I'd just like to thank everyone for spending the time here with us to learn about this new DS3. And thank you to Chris and Derek. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. This was recorded, and so that will be shared next week during the weekly newsletter. As soon as we get more details on the product, we'll be sure to let you know exactly when we're rolling it out. We'll get it onto the price list here shortly, and we'll get it up on the web shop so you can find all the specs, install manuals, things of that nature. So thanks again, everybody, and thanks again, APS. Truly a great partner, and really appreciate your support.
Great. Well, thanks for everybody for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.